Welcome to Prime Space, a Prime Coaching Academy podcast with your host, Elias. So hello, coaches. Today I have another guest, a very dear friend of mine, Mr. Gary Schleifer. Hello, Gary.
Hello, how are you today, sir?
I am doing great, and it's wonderful to hear and talk to you, especially that you just came back from the beach.
Well, technically, I came back from Mexico and the beach was there, so I'm back in Canada.
So thank you. Thank you for taking the time to speak with us a little bit here. For those of you who do not know Gary, I met Gary actually, well, I knew of Gary for many years, but we met personally at the Gay Coaches Alliance winter, the conference, the in-person conference a couple of years ago. And that's where we connected. Gary has been the president of the Gay Coaches Alliance, and he is also the recipient of the Thomas Leonard Award that the Gay Coaches Alliance grant every year. So congratulations on that, Gary.
Thank you. Thank you.
Gary is a PCC coach, and he said, as he already said, he is Canadian, lives in Canada, but he spends his winter in Puerto Vallarta, Mexico, a wonderful part of the world with beautiful beaches. I love the Pacific coast of Mexico. Gary was the president of ICS Toronto and vice president of ICS Global a few years ago. And Gary, I would love for you to share this because before we started recording the podcast, you said that you are the freedom guru.
Yeah, so I love coaching because one of the things it gave me was a very clear understanding of one of my most important values, which is freedom. And what that means to me is freedom, financial freedom, time freedom, location, freedom of self-expression, all of those. And I'm constantly on a quest for myself and for others to have freedom be a part of their lives. Well, what I did when I was going to Mexico is I said, you know what? I want to have a beach day every Friday. So I literally went into my calendar, took out anything that was in there and put in a block that said beach day. And so nobody could book any calls. And every Friday while I was in Mexico, I went to the beach and it was a blast. And then I got back and well, even before I left, before I came back, I said, well, you know what? Why don't I take every Friday off? So I've now blocked every Friday as Freedom Friday for me to work on my dreams, okay, go for a massage, whatever. Like all those things that we say we'll do sometime, I now have a whole day to do it or do nothing at all, which is another kind of freedom.
Yeah, I love that. Yes, I don't have any scheduled clients on Friday, and I've never had this in my whole
Well,
career
good
as a
for
coach.
you. Oh,
Yes, I
you
do.
beat me to it.
I meet with Amy, on Fridays, to discuss
Well,
things for Prime Coaching Academy, but no clients for sure. Absolutely,
yeah.
I appreciate that. But here, so thank you for that. I love that concept of the Freedom Guru and Freedom Fridays. So something for
Mhm.
us. We're already benefiting from this conversation here, Gary. Thank you so much. But listeners, coaches, I invited Gary here because Gary is also the publisher of Choice Magazine. And it's Choice Magazine. It's a very important publication here in the coaching industry. So I would love for Gary to share a little bit of Choice. Gary, what is Choice?
Choice, the magazine of professional coaching, meant for every coach on the planet. So, what I find interesting, and I know you know this from your listeners, and that is that here I am 22 years later, and there's still coaches on the planet that don't know that their magazine, and I say your magazine to your listeners because we truly make it for all coaches. Now, that's not to say that other people like HR professionals and trainers and consultants and my 92-year-old mother read the magazine as well. Okay. I got to tell you a cute story. When I put out the AI issue last year, it came in the mail. I see it, and my mom gets it mailed to her, which is a joy for her, right? Because who gets mail other than bills? And she was talking to me and she says, what's this thing, this A1 coach, this A1 business? And I'm like, I'm scratching my head, like, what is she talking about? And I realized she was talking about AI, artificial intelligence. Really cute. But anyway, I digress. You were asking me about, so Choice Magazine's been around for 22 years. I started as a coach 24 years and 2 months ago. I know that because I was in Denver in the second week of January 2021 taking my first course. And a little while after that, I was looking around for a magazine because let's face it, leaders of all kinds have HBR, Harvard Business Review. Psychologists have Psychology Today. But the coaching industry's only started in the mid 90s. So I wasn't even thinking about that, but I went to the bookshelves and online, could not find a magazine. So I was sitting on the deck one August day, and I said, having a cup of coffee on my nice white fluffy bathrobe. No, it wasn't a Friday, it was a Sunday. And I said to my husband, well, there's our industry doesn't have one, a magazine. And he said, well, you're an entrepreneur, create one. So I and four other people got together in Half Moon Bay at Melanie Dewberry Jones' house in April of 2003 and brainstormed and started the concept of Choice, the magazine of professional coaching. I think I was the one that came up with the title, but hey, memory is what it is. I'm going to say so. I can have others tell me no. And by November, 9 months later, our we opened Choice Magazine, and it was the first time any of us had seen a copy, the team, at the ICF conference in Denver, which, by the way, was where I also did my first coaching course. And there it was, the very first one. And I'm going to go back and say it's your magazine. And we'll talk about this later, but about writers and stuff. But we truly made it for the coaching industry. It's the only unbiased print and digital globally distributed publication just for coaches.
Love this story. You've never told me you've told me this story before, but not in detail as you did right now. And the thing that really caught my attention is this idea that you was thinking out of the box. Here, you saw a need in the industry, and you went ahead and you created it. And I say this all the time to my students and mentees when they start building their coaching practices. We leave coach training because we're in coach training. We are so focused on one-on-one coaching. And then we leave coach training thinking that the only thing that we can do as coaches is one-on-one coaching. Oh my gosh, we can be so creative with all that exists in the industry, all the skills that we get in coach training. And your story is a perfect example of thinking out of the box and making it work. Thank you.
Oh, thank you. And seriously, like when you're doing it, you just do it. You see a need and you just do it, right? So I say that humbly, and I am honored to be in charge of Choice 100% now. It's on my shoulders for at least the last 15 years because all of my
Wow.
partners evolved and they went on to other projects, and now I'm doing it all by myself. So.
Well, good for you. So when you go and you are planning for the next issue,
Mhm.
what is the thought process behind selecting articles, selecting themes, all the way to the
Mhm.
point that the magazine is published?
Well, first, let me tell you that at any point in time, we're working on three issues at the same time.
Wow.
Well, the issue we're working on right now is the March issue, which is about climate consciousness and coaching, connecting the dots. So that one's in edit mode. We've selected the articles. We're starting in the design and edit mode, and it'll go to the printer at the beginning of March. Then we're also we just collecting for the June issue, which is about racism, coaching and racism in an era of backlash. And I say that with pride because with this DEI initiative now, or the destruction of it, it's even more important that we know how to work with that. What's our role? That sort of thing. So I'm really looking forward to the articles we are getting for that. And those are due on March 1st. So if you're listening to this recording and you think you might have something to offer, get in touch with me. Love to have a chat. I love having chats with potential writers. And then the other issue, we're working on themes, well, literally right into 2026 and our 25th anniversary in 2027.
Wow, so like really looking ahead and planning forward. And I love that you every issue you have a specific theme and you
Right.
gather articles from different coaches to contribute to that particular point. So
Yeah.
is it fair to say that most or all the writers at Choice Magazine are coaches?
Actually, no, because wisdom comes from all sources.
I love it.
So if you're a coach, and please, coaches, it's called the Magazine of Professional Coaching because coaching is a profession. Doesn't mean you have to have an ACC or PCC. We're just happy to have your wisdom shared with us. If you're submitting an article, the chances of being selected increase when you have actionable items and you're just spot on with where you. I always like to say, if you're gonna thinking about writing or agreed to write, is write what's in your head through your heart.
Mm.
And I've done that, spoken that way with people for years, and the most fabulous articles. And I say to all your listeners as well, don't second guess yourself. It's it's not that it's super easy to go through the process of submitting. I think the toughest part is the actual writing. Majority of articles are 1,200 to 1,400 words. That's you keep it in there, you're more likely to be accepted. And bring it on. Have a conversation with me if you're not sure, and we'll brainstorm titles, concepts, whatever you want. And
That's fantastic. And
yeah.
I love that, as you're describing your suggestion for the writers, you are utilizing the coach approach to writing, right? Like it's not just an intellectual exercise, but there is the humanity and who you are and the
Mm,
authenticity that you bring to the coaching, to the writing of that particular article as well. One
yeah.
thing that I'm always curious, because you have been in, working with this magazine and in the industry for such a long time. I'm curious to hear from you from the perspective of the magazine and being the publisher of choice. What have you noticed as the evolution of the industry?
That's a great question. So many things. And what's funny is there's some things that change and things that stay the same. So, for example, what's sort of stayed the same but evolved, and we still repeat the theme, is team and group coaching, because it's changed dramatically over the years. I mean, there's now a supervision certificate and team coach supervision. There are conferences on supervision. It's just brilliant. Some of the things that also don't stay the same is cultural diversity and working with diverse clients, diversity, equity, inclusion. So much so that we a few years ago, created a column called Kaleidoscope, and it's about being a place for the voice of a DEI writer to our fellow coaches to keep that conversation alive in Choice Magazine. Some of the things that I would love to see more of, and that is the application of artificial intelligence and the testing and the ownership of artificial intelligence. I really think it has a great place to play in coaching, and I don't think we can avoid it as humans in any realm. And so I like to say, like, I get under the hood and take a look and see what makes it all tick. And I'm very surprised at how much control we still have over everything. And I say still because who knows, right? You still have the Matrix and those movies in your head going, the machines will rise and take over. But for the time being, it's still very much under our control.
Yeah, Terminator. That's the first thing that comes up
Right?
for
There
me.
you go.
But I am so much with you on that. And I appreciate you sharing. The what is to come and
Mm.
what is the, I don't know, projection, or what is the future. This idea of AI is inevitable. We are going to. It's part of life everywhere, and it will be, and it is already part of coaching as well.
Oh
So
yeah. Yeah.
so Gary, if someone is one of the listeners is willing to try and submit an article, what do they do?
Go to choice-online.com. And at the bottom of the screen, there's a little tab, I guess. It's called Write for Us. And it's super easy. It literally is like a one, two, three. Decide your topic, write it, submit it. I mean, we couldn't make it much easier. Yeah, there's lots of detail on, but basically it's a Word doc. We have editor. We have a managing editor. So don't worry about perfection. And if you still have questions, just reach out to me. Let's set up a call. I'm happy to talk to you.
Except on Fridays. No Fridays.
No Friday calls. No Friday calls. But I've made space on my
Excellent.
calendar. We can have a Calendly link, and set it up. Send me your link. Just make it easy. Enjoy, relax. Just get curious and find out if this is for you.
So lots of details there that
Yeah,
anyone who is interested, and I think that the bottom line here is that sometimes we think of like, oh, being published, but it's easier than we think it is. So
exactly.
we can connect with you, Gary. Thank you so much for sharing your wisdom and your experience
Thanks.
and your excitement for Choice Magazine. And I look forward to more conversations with you. And we will definitely meet you at the Gay Coaches Conference in April. So thank
Elias,
you so
thank you
much.
for having me. It was a great pleasure. And yeah, reach out, say hi, people.
Thank you, everybody. And I will see you next week. Take care.